Well, good morning. We are at the State Emergency Operations Center in Tallahassee. We are now at a level 1.
Well, good morning, everybody. Governor Ron DeSantis addressing the state right now regarding the tropics. Let's listen in.
Director of the Division of Emergency Management with me here today. Yesterday, I signed an executive order declaring a state of emergency for 41 counties, which allows for state officials to make resources available to communities ahead of any potential storm impacts and to work to expeditiously prepare for the approaching storm. This morning, given the data that's coming in about the tracks of the storm, we've increased the number of counties to 61. Basically, every county in Florida outside southeast Florida, the coastal southeastern Florida counties are now included, and part of that is we expect effects could reach significantly inland. We have requested a pre-fall emergency declaration from FEMA. We expect that to be approved very quickly. Here at the Emergency Operations Center, we are, of course, on full activation. As of this morning, potential tropical cyclone 9 is located about 120 miles west-southwest of Grand Cayman, about 240 miles south-southeast of the western tip of Cuba, and it's moving northwestward at 8 miles per hour. Now, the storm has not yet formed, but we anticipate that to form within the next 12 to 24 hours and be a potentially very dangerous storm. The models currently range from it developing into a tropical storm all the way to a major hurricane at Category 4. If you look at the National Hurricane Center, they have put out their cone, and they're actually forecasting it to be a major hurricane by the time it reaches landfall, which is Category 3 or higher. And they've never in their history forecasted a major at this stage of development, and part of it, I think, is because there's some similarities to the track that was taken on Hurricane Michael. And I think the thought is that when it's over the Gulf, especially the more north it goes rather than east, it has a chance to have a rapid intensification. So we, as always, we prepare for the worst, we hope for the best, but we'd rather be prepared and then have it not reach that level than just hope that it doesn't intensify and then be caught not being prepared. So we do anticipate that it will intensify before it makes landfall. We do anticipate it's going to form in the next 12 to 24 hours. We also anticipate the storm's going to move pretty quickly once it gets beyond the Yucatan and Cuba, and it's got a pretty good runway throughout the Gulf of Mexico. The Big Bend and Panhandle should be especially prepared for a direct impact. We just got some model runs this morning that take it as far west as pretty close to Panama City. And I think the eastern routes are probably more in the Big Bend region. And that's just the direct impact. But I think it's important that people don't get wedded to these cones. First of all, the cone, you could be out of the cone and you could still have major impacts. And the further east this goes, may not be have as much runway to have the maximum intensification, but that brings in the entire western coast of Florida for potential significant storm surge. So just know that this thing's there, know that this could have broad impacts, and we're anticipating impacts, 100, 200 miles outside of the eye of the storm, you could see with winds and you can see with surge. So if you're in the Tampa Bay area, you anticipate that you're going to see impacts. We could also see impacts in southwest Florida with some of the surge, just depending on what the track is. And then, of course, the northern part of the state will end up getting a direct impact at some portion of there. But there's still a lot of uncertainty here. So I think people just should know that, hey, this is out there. We are going to see significant impacts no matter what happens. But don't act like, well, the cone moved another 20 miles to the west, therefore we're going to in the clear. There's still a lot of uncertainty left with this, so just be prepared. And that's one of the reasons why we've done the 61 counties, because we understand that you could have impacts that are outside of where the current cone is. And in fact, we anticipate there to be impacts beyond the current cone. So now you still have time to prepare. Review your hurricane plan and make sure that you are executing your hurricane preparedness plan. Your gas tanks filled, water, non-perishable food that will last you, particularly when you have power outages. Clear up any loose objects in your yard that could become a flying object in strong winds. Know your evacuation zone. We always say that you hide from the wind, but you run from the water. Very well may be these local, the county level, will issue some evacuation orders for some of the low-lying coastal areas. That is absolutely something that is likely to happen. So heed those directives and make sure you're taking the appropriate steps to protect you and your family. But you have time to be able to put this plan into place. We anticipate the storm is likely to make landfall sometime on Thursday night. We will, of course, see impacts before then. But for the rest of today, and probably even into tomorrow morning, you're going to have opportunities. And look, this formation may take a little longer. That will push it back further before we see impacts. We don't know that yet, but it's possible you could see Friday morning impacts if the storm takes longer. So right now, regardless of how it forms or the speed, right now you do have time. So take advantage of that time. Low-lying areas, of course, can increase a community's flood risk. Residents should learn if their dwelling is at risk by visiting FEMA's MAP Service Center at msc.fema.gov or through the property appraiser's website. Floridians can also get up-to-date shelter status information at floridadisaster.org/shelters or reach out to their local county emergency management for more information. Not every shelter is pet-friendly, but every county is going to have at least one pet-friendly shelter, so please take advantage of that. Call ahead online to make sure you're going where you need to go. So prepare. You have time to do it. There's a lot of uncertainty with this storm, but the one thing that is certain is we are going to see some impacts. So just prepare yourself accordingly. Now, the Florida Division of Emergency Management is already responding to storm-related resource requests from local communities. These are from counties and municipalities, and they've gotten requests and are acting on deploying high water vehicles, providing water, tarps, generators, and additional first responders and other personnel. As we typically do, we are amassing many thousands of linemen who are going to be ready. I think we're up to 18,000 now. There's more that are going to be en route at safe locations like highway way stations and state lands just outside of potential areas of impact. As these storms pass, we want to get people in to be able to get the power back on. But Floridians should just be prepared. If you are in the path of this storm within probably 200 miles of it, there's going to be some strong winds. You're going to see power go out in various sections of the state. So just prepare for that. Prepare that you will lose power. Have a plan in place to be able to ride that out. We've been fortunate in Florida that we have a culture here where we really want to put get the power back on. We've got great companies that are working very hard on this. We've got the municipal cooperatives they're doing tremendous compared to what was done 5 or 10 years ago. So that's great. But we've seen in the past where people have been without a power for a long time. You don't know how the storm's going to impact some of this. It's one thing to knock a line down. Yeah, you can get that up. If there's a major hurricane, can uproot something, you may have to rebuild the entire portion of that. So just be prepared to have a power outage, but know we are amassing significant resources to be able to move in and to be able to restore power as rapidly as possible. We also have hundreds of Starlinks ready to deploy for internet. So if internet access is lost, we can deploy those Starlinks and get people back online, particularly in businesses who are going to need that to keep the doors open. We did for Debbie last month, we did flood protection devices, and we are staging those all along the Gulf Coast for storm surge and flooding protection, particularly with the utility substations. So we have 150,000 linear feet of flood protection devices to be deployed before the storm makes landfall. What I'd say to some of the local governments is use this. Not only do we have 150,000 linear feet, the Army Corps of Engineers has a lot of this. This proved to be successful with Debbie. I mean, Debbie was not a major hurricane, but it brought a lot of water, a lot of rain. You saw a lot of flooding, and there wasn't a single substation that had these flood protection devices around them that was put out of pocket as a result of the water. So that's what we want to do. Makes it a lot easier to get people back online. So particularly for our coastal counties on the Gulf Coast, utilize this. Kevin and his team are standing by to be able to get this done, and I think it's going to be something that you'll be glad that you did. And that's not just for government property. I mean, that can be deployed to protect a private substation. That's fine. I mean, what difference does it make if you get the power back on? And we want to make sure that we're helping in any way that we can. We have 3,000 Florida National Guard soldiers ready to assist Kevin and his team, search and rescue, route clearance, commodity distribution, and protection of critical infrastructure. We've also activated the Florida State Guard, and they have 10 shallow water vessel boat teams on standby, 7 flat bottom flood rescue skiffs, 12 UTVs, 15 cut and toss crews, 2 amphibious rescue vehicles, 7 search and rescue crews, and 1 UH-60 Blackhawk for daytime aerial assessment and logistics mission. Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission has high water vehicles and other storm response resources available statewide, and they will rapidly deploy in the event that those are needed. And just as we're doing with the linemen and utility vehicles, we're setting up logistical staging areas in strategic locations across northwest, north central, and northeast Florida. So I think right now Kevin has Mariana, he's got Cecil Field in northeast Florida, and then he has Marion County at the equestrian center there. And the goal is to have that ready, and the storm passes, get those where they need to be. Florida Department of Transportation is currently inspecting and clearing clearing drainage systems, monitoring flood-prone and currently saturated areas, and pre-positioning pumps as appropriate. FDOT has deployed traffic signal generators and pumps to clear and maintain the operability of intersections around the state. Emergency alerts can save lives, so please have multiple ways to receive those alerts and act immediately when you do receive them. Your local emergency management and local officials will have information that is most relevant to your specific area. But I also encourage residents to stay attentive to guidance issued by the State Division of Emergency Management. Counties have begun preparation efforts, including opening sandbag filling stations. For updates on county resources available, visit floridadisaster.org/counties. Stay safe. Make sure that you prepare yourself, and we'll continue to provide updates as we get new information. But for the state of Florida, you know, we've turned on everything starting yesterday. We're rocking and rolling just like we are guaranteed to have a major hurricane. Again, we don't know exactly, hasn't formed yet. There's still some uncertainty, but I think the fact that this would be forecasted as a major at this point without formation shows that this has a potential to be a really, really significant storm. So you have time to prepare, you have time to plan, you have time to take the action that you need to protect you and your family, and we encourage you to do that. And with that, I'll bring up Kevin Guthrie.
Good morning. I want to express again my thanks to Governor DeSantis.
They're listening to Governor Ron DeSantis, again addressing the state all over potential tropical cyclone number 9. And he mentioned has not developed yet. What we mean by that, and what he's saying here, is we don't have a named storm. We don't have even a tropical depression yet, but computer model guidance and the conditions ahead of this, frankly, disorganized cluster of thunderstorms and cloud cover is so favorable for development that it's going to happen quickly. Okay, so once we cross into the Gulf of Mexico out of the Caribbean between Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula, we're talking about getting to hurricane strength by tomorrow and then major hurricane status by perhaps Thursday mid-morning. And even more strengthening could occur. Now, the cone also pretty tight, though when we say tight, confidence is high that at some point, somewhere within this cone, the eye wall will pass. That could be between Tampa Bay and as far west as, say, Pensacola, looking at that cone there. But right now, center track and most computer models have this making a landfall Thursday evening, probably around 7, 8 o'clock into the Big Bend area. Zooming in a little bit closer as we go down towards that landfalling time frame. any western tick better for our local impacts. So if we get a little push towards, say, Mexico Beach as opposed to, say, Steinhatchee, it'll be a little bit better. But if it moves east towards that Steinhatchee Cedar Key area, then we're going to have greater impact. So that's something I want us to all to watch very, very carefully here as development occurs over the next 24 hours. Where within this cone does it seem like computer models are painting this track? Current track, though, right now, if we're taking current conditions, what we do know is that Thursday evening seems to be the best chance for a landfall. So we would see most of our impacts along the first coast in southeast Georgia through Thursday, maybe around lunchtime, we'll call it, when we really start turning the volume up on those impacts, into overnight Thursday night into early Friday morning. Currently, we do have hurricane watches that include a little portion of Columbia County here. So not quite Lake City, but anything 75 corridor. This line is drawn right down I-75. So 75 and west is still in that hurricane watch. We expect that to be expanded as hurricane force winds and those conditions are anticipated to be felt throughout the Columbia County area, Alachua and Marion County as well, again on the western side of 75. Looking at our computer modeling here as we watch the cone on top of the computer model forecast with what would become Helene, still forecast as a major hurricane. This would be, taking a look at Thursday night, 8:30 would be a precise look at a potential landfall. This, again, it can swing within several hours. Some computer models have it slower, some have it faster, but Thursday evening is a good term and good time to think that's when landfall will happen. The several hours after landfall is when hurricane force conditions will impact Columbia County up into Ware and Pierce County, even in southeast Georgia, and the tornadic risk will be highest for us in the first coast of Florida. Again, that Thursday evening time frame. Why I want to emphasize it's going to be very, very important, as the governor mentioned, to have several ways to get alerts. So if you were to fall asleep Thursday night, a warning were to pop for a tornado or severe thunderstorm, you've got your device, the alerts are turned on. First Coast News app's a handy way to do that, but also National Weather Service, and having a weather radio around the house, not a bad idea. Multiple ways, always a good idea. Of course, we'll be broadcasting live throughout the duration of the worst of these impacts, of course, and have crews stationed throughout to kind of bring you the very latest. So what the weather impact here, heavy rainfall and flooding for our first coast, certainly possible. Southeast Georgia, certainly possible with gusty winds and that tornado risk. So looking ahead here, I'll wrap it up with our 7-day, kind of highlighting the specific day parts that we're watching. Thursday, all that we'll call the weather impact, as those first rain bands would be moving in the morning, but the more severe weather would be after lunch through the evening and then even overnight into Friday morning. But by Friday afternoon, and certainly by the weekend, but by Friday midday and into the afternoon, things begin to improve very, very quickly. We're going to get another update. We get an update at 11 o'clock from the National Hurricane Center. We'll see if anything gets named by that point. Throughout the day, we anticipate getting the name, as by Wednesday we could have a hurricane here. But by 11 o'clock, we'll have another update for you. And of course, we'll see you First Coast News at noon. But have that app handy. As I mentioned, multiple ways to get alerts sent directly to you. We've got the app. Go to any app store right now, type in First Coast News. You'll have it. Turn on your location services and your alerts and notifications. That way we can get messages to you urgently. All right, folks, we'll see you back here at 11 o'clock.